there's always so much going on. And if we fixate on what's not going well, you can spend quite some time going down a twisty, dark path. So, what I try to do is I try to do a reframe as often as I can. I don't have to do this, I get to do this. Sure, there's all of this happening, but here is where there's opportunity. And so, really focusing on what the positive is, that really is how you kick that monster off, right? That you're talking about. And you remember the times that that monster was lying to you and they were just trying to keep you where you are instead of letting you go and be who you're supposed to be. If we don't win, we learn. And that is the goal, right? It's
I
not,
love
it doesn't have
that.
to be perfect. You just have to keep trying.
Okay. So I was just visiting with Ashley just moments before the record button came on, and I said, Ashley, do you know what I love about what we're doing here on the podcast? I think it's easier for us as individuals to believe the possibilities that life can unlock for us after we hear other people doing it. I think it's not always easy to envision that's us as the one doing it, as much as is us hearing about somebody else that might have done it. So what I love is that the platform Believe Boulder is a community, a place of coming together and witnessing stories of people unlocking the things that don't seem possible. And I think at the core of it is really believing boldly and believing bolder because life gives you what you believe you can have. And so I knew it was super, 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 super important for us, well, on our podcasting journey together, that we meet incredible people that affect those words so uniquely, believing bolder. And so many of us in life have a dream. We have a vision. And we want to motivate people to come into our life to see the vision that we can see. And I believe that's not always easy for everyone, but there are individuals in life that have an ability to guide people with clarity through great communication, through great skills to address pioneering ideas, to do the new, to unlock the different. Today's one of those artists of life that we get to visit with. We're with Ashley. And Ashley, I just adore you. Thank you so much for joining us today on Believe Boulder.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here and visit with you today.
You know what I love? Okay, so for our listeners, I'll never forget. It was, let's go back in time, and it was during the mortgage meltdown, and a lot of things were happening differently for many of us, especially in the financial world. And Congress was trying to put together laws and reunite the financial markets globally to say that this is a safe space again. In fact, one of the laws that unlocked to make a safe space is called the SAFE Act. How funny is that? The Dodd-Frank bill. And it came in many flavors, meaning that it unlocked the bill. The law itself unlocked over multiple years. And here's what I discovered. Well, when I was invited to go to speak to Congress personally on housing reform, and what I discovered is that our politicians up in Capitol Hill, well, they're experts at being political. They're politicians, but not necessarily experts on the fields that we might choose to run in life. And I say it all on purpose because somebody has to come in with a voice of power, a voice of an ability so that we can be heard by the person that makes the decisions of law. And that's a really hard task to do, lobbyist. Other people on Capitol Hill are hired with the assignment of taking great ideas and moving them passionately forward so that they make it to a bill, that make it to law. And that was me. And it was a handful of years ago in the 2000s where I went to Congress and I spoke. And I walked away and 3 of my speaking points were written in the bill that passed and is now law. And how did that happen? Well, because I showed up and I spoke. But there's beautiful people in the world that are incredible, that have the ability to do this on a regular basis. And Ashley, please, you're one of these magnificent people, one of the magnificent folks. In fact, you've represented several key Congress members here on Capitol Hill in Washington. And welcome to the show. I just love how you show up in life. Ashley, you're an incredible woman, an
Thank you.
incredible woman of power, of strength, and your strength that I love and admire. I've known you for years now, Ashley. It's your strength of your self belief, of the reason to believe we have the right to be significant in life. But, Ashley, I don't know if all of us in life have those same tools yet to take the ideas that we've created and to passionately move them forward in a way that they're successfully adopted. We're not necessarily all looking for bills that become law, but we're surely in life looking for ideas that become significantly successful. And Ashley, that's your art form. You're an artist in many things. And I know that you've been taken out of your role directly with Congress and been asked to represent major universities and represent ideas that come out of universities and bring those to life. Can you share a little bit, please, Ashley, about how do you get started? Here's a new idea. It's presented, it's designed. Now what, Ashley? How does somebody move something freshly designed, not done yet? What do we do?
Yeah, no, it's a really great question. And so I think a lot of what it comes down to is translation, right? So there are experts like you, like many experts across the country in lots of different things. And I'm not an expert in those things. I'm an expert in translating somebody's expertise into plain language that a congressional audience can digest, right? And I'm an expert at figuring out where the overlap and the synergies are and where the opportunities lie. And so, this idea that you have, maybe this member of Congress is interested in it. So, how do we find a connection and how do we make it translate so it's something that they're interested in hearing more about and then hopefully advancing to become legislation?
Wow, everybody. Oh, I know a lot of us listen, not always watching goose pimple activity. Why? Did you hear the same thing Ashley just spoiled us with? I swear it works that well. OMG, OMG. We're going to get a lot of these moments. I already know it. Here, oh, there was one. Here's what I just heard, Ashley. Research. When you have an idea and you want to have somebody of significance that's significant to your idea come on board with you, I've learned it's easier when you come on board with their world first. I find that more people are interested in my ideas when I become more interested in who they are. But how can I know who they are if I don't begin the research first? In such a modern world we get to play in, ChatGPT makes research so much easier. Well, defined alignment points. And I think that if we're ever going to start a conversation with an idea with somebody that hasn't thought of it yet, like us, I think it starts by connecting. And I think we get about 30 seconds, if that long. I don't even think we get that long. By the moment we walk in, when somebody's already starting to think whether or not they're interested to hear what you have to say, or if they're going to find it to be valuable, or they're forced to have to hear it, but it's not going to go anywhere. And what you just said and what I just heard, and what I truly believe as well of how I've unlocked things in life, investigating the person you care to communicate with first is so valuable than simply rushing in with your own ideas first. Your ideas, don't make them first. Make the person you're speaking to first. And from there, let's build the conversations. So that's what I heard, Ashley. Please correct me if I misunderstood.
No, that's exactly right. If it doesn't make any sense to spend time trying to convince somebody that is completely opposed to something that you're interested in doing. What's a better use of your time is finding somebody that maybe is interested in something that is slightly similar to it or hasn't spoken on it yet. And, maybe you can convince them. We have finite resources, right? And we need to be really strategic in how we use them. And so you really need to spend the time figuring out who might benefit from something. Why does it matter to them? Why would somebody want to do something this way? And without spending the time to do that, you're wasting your time.
It's about them. Your solution needs to benefit them. And your
Yes.
goal in that moment is for them to see how they're benefiting from
Yes.
spending the time about Ashley, I told you, everybody, this was going to be a fun time. She's really amazing at her craft. And I think we all become amazing in our craft the more we practice the craft we love doing. And you have a high passion, Ashley, for being involved in things that shape communities, that shape our nation, that shape us locally and nationally. You're involved at that level for years, if I remember. How long have you been involved, Ashley? And
Well, so I've been at my current position for my day job for almost 8 years, and before that, I worked for several California members of Congress for quite some time. So I think we're coming in close to 20 years at this point.
I knew it was a minute or two. And Ashley, and that's what I love, because I think one of the hardest people to convince are political leaders. Why do I think that? This is Scott Griffin's opinion, if I may. I think that throughout a given day, because I've been on Capitol Hill a few years through invitation, I've noticed there were people waiting. After I was done talking, the rooms were full. Do you know what that means, everybody? That means that people are waiting, and all they hear all day long are people's opinions. And they're meetings after meetings after meetings after meetings that don't stop. And something tells me these are daily events. They're not phenomenons. And if that's true, and if you were a politician politically in charge and you were bombarded with every Frank, Nancy, Harry, Cookie, Khaki, whatever their name is, whatever association they whipped up, it's their ideas. And you, as a political leader and your team, have to sit there and hear all of this. So how? And that might be you in whatever market you're working in, whatever thing that you're thinking about bringing to life. You might be in a competitive space that has a lot of noise, like Capitol Hill. The gift, you might try to be breaking into Hollywood. It's like the Capitol Hill is so noisy up there. So is Hollywood. How do you separate yourself from the noise? And Ashley has a gift. Ashley's ability to separate noise is why she's been hired by one of the biggest institutions in America to be their lobbyist, to go out there and run everything for her. And I might be saying the position wrong, but I know you're incredibly involved in the government of affairs of what affects things that are so significantly meaningful.
That's exactly right. So, and not only do I work with Congress, I also position leaders at my institution to have better conversations with Congress and with the federal government in general. So it's also, the administration, it's federal agencies, it's the White House, and it's figuring out how to find opportunity when others just see chaos.
May I please, Ashley, would you allow, can we explore for just a moment, please? I feel that life right now, for many, has a lot of thoughts. And we're all supposed to have individual thoughts. Could you imagine if every single person on the planet shared the one same thought? How boring would life get? Life deserves contrast. Otherwise, how would I as an individual ever get to see another side of something I wasn't already self-thinking? And that would be a very small world to live in. And I love to live in a large world. Ashley, can I ask, for our listeners that are with us right now, I think most of us that speak up in life and speak out of things that are important to us want to be heard. But sometimes when I'm raising my arms right now and shaking because I've got like a little thought in my mind, and I want you to hear me. It's so important to me. And sometimes when we come at something with that kind of approach, the opposite effect gets to take place. And I
Yes.
think that when we're trying to be heard, is that we really want to be heard. Can you share, please, Ashley, as you just said, you guide a lot of other professionals in life how to communicate. Can you share with our listeners some of those key ingredients? Because I think a lot of listeners right now have thoughts they'd love to communicate, even if those are thoughts up to Capitol Hill. But I would love it if they could have the tools that their communication actually gets a chance to be heard and not self-deflected and put away to the wastebasket where it wasn't used. What might they do,
Yeah.
Ashley? What advice should they know?
Yeah, I think the first thing is what we started with is researching, right? Why do you care about something? Why should somebody else care about it? And then going a step further, why should, if you're talking to a member of Congress, why should their constituents care about it? So what is the issue? And why should they care about it? Why does it matter to them? And you have to figure that out before you get started. And then when you approach these conversations, you need to approach them with kindness. I know if somebody
Yes.
calls and screams at me, all I want to do is hang up the phone, right?
They're
Like, I
just
don't want
people at the end of the day, right? They're people. They're
Yes,
politicians, but they're
yes.
individuals. Yes.
And it's their staff who are, the one that doesn't necessarily do the vote. They just do the research. And if they're getting screamed at, they're definitely not going to, help move your forward or your idea forward to their boss. And so approaching it with kindness is important. And as often as you can, tell stories. And it's okay to have emotion in those stories, but you need to also have them be fact based, right? So I always say it's qualitative and quantitative data. Tell the story, but also bring the research about why insert subject matters and why it should matter to them and why it's impacting you and how they can solve it.
I love all of that. Why is storytelling so valuable? I think it's easier to hear a new idea through a story. So we're all kind of like looking at this other thing together through the story being shared versus you just speaking at me. Now, if you just speak at me, then it's almost like a lecture of sorts. That's different than receiving a new idea through a story. What I love about storytelling is it allows us to observe. It feels like it's over there and we can see it from here. And then we can look at it together, but I don't have to defend it. Nothing's attacking me. It's over there. And I can see it over there. I'm more comfortable. And then we can conversate about what's over there. And I love that, Ashley. What a great way. And so, Ashley, share with me, if I may. Sometimes our ideas are not easily heard. How do I get past that a moment? What can I do to get past when I'm trying to be heard and it's not working? What is the secret tips and tricks that can help us realign to get to yes?
One of the best ways to help give your idea some weight is to build a coalition. So if you go into a member of Congress and you're going in by yourself, that member of Congress or their staff is hearing from one person. If you go in with 40 people that are from several different states or several different congressional districts, and you go in and you have meetings with several members of Congress and you're all in alignment, that is going to have a little bit more weight, especially if there is a diverse set of backgrounds and ideologies and you're talking to diverse, members of Congress. What I find often happens when folks aren't able to move their idea is that if they have an idea that is considered either liberal or progressive or conservative, they're only going to talk to members of Congress that they think share that idea, as opposed to finding others in different regions or different states that are also impacted by this issue and building a bipartisan coalition. And then you can talk to, members of Congress from both parties and really try to talk about how this isn't a red issue, this isn't a blue issue, but this is an issue that's facing people across the country, and that this could be a legislative win for those members of Congress. So don't just present a problem, also present a solution.
That's delicious. And don't go alone if you can. And bring others from the neighborhood and go down to the sister neighborhood and don't get everybody from your block. Get some from over there as
Yep.
well.
Yeah.
Grassroots movements work.
Hmm.
And they work because I've learned they do. That was me. And then I flew home 3 weeks later. There's a bill getting written up, and it really works. But it can't work, I discovered, if we don't show up first. And who's we? Well, I'm just Scott Griffin. We is you. You listening right now. If you've got a thought, an idea, this is your time. Time for what? To bring it to life. Why? Because tomorrow's not guaranteed. And the world deserves thoughts that may not have been thought of yet that you have and haven't shared. And it's valuable. It's how we grow as a society. We grow consistently by the things we learn on the journeys of it all. And we learn because people share. And we also learn because we innovate. And Ashley, I know you're an innovator. You inspire innovation. You bring great ideas to life. Today, you've taught a lot of us about how to communicate successfully. And we all heard it, right? We heard do the research, speak from a kind space. If you can go with others, go with others. If you can't, don't slow down. Don't remember, Fleetwood Mac and others with Stevie Nicks can carry that whole stage, that whole songs all the way through. She's terrific. Sometimes you just need the one singing voice, and you can still move the needle. So just believe. Take your belief, your gorgeous idea, your great mindset, and go introduce it to others in the world. And if you find no is in front of you, here's what I've learned. I've learned that no is the path to yes. And sometimes yes is a bumpy road. And if no shows up first, don't slow down. That's okay. Remember, that was based on what you did just a moment ago. Reshape it and represent. And then we get a chance to idealize that new approach. And I've learned that you sure can, as long as you continue to believe. And you know what else I've learned? Ashley, you know what else I love about who you are and your gorgeous family is that you're an incredible giver. The work that you do is all about giving for others. It comes from an incredible space of giving. There's another, if you may, I mean, I know I wanted to talk about all the magic you do and lobbying and helping us communicate better. But I got to be honest, okay, because I also do lending. And so real estate is a core piece of what I love in life. And then there's you and your beautiful husband, Julie, and you guys together creating groundbreaking technologies and bringing those to life and giving. You love to give, and you've given something to people like myself. I think all of us are gifted differently in life. If I walk in a vacant room, Ashley, I know we share this in common because we've spoken about it. It's hilarious. I walk in the vacant room, all I see is the vacant room. Some people have the gift of seeing furnishings, wall colors, art. I just see the vacant room. Oh
Me
my
too.
gosh. But you, my goodness, I love it. In your busy world, because your world is one of the busiest, I know it well. And my goodness, to even spend this time with you at this time of hour of the day is delicious. And I can't believe it. And I'm grateful. At the same token, I'm also grateful that you invented, literally pioneered something incredibly fresh and so valuable for other peoples like myself and Ashley that see vacant rooms when we say, or if an ugly room's ugly, all I can see is the ugly. Ashley, what did you and Julian create?
Yeah, so thank you, Scott. So my husband is somebody that doesn't see the vacant room. He's not like us, Scott. Like he doesn't see the ugly green wallpaper or the dated floors. He sees the possibilities. He can dream in any space. And so together we've
Lucky.
created a really innovative web-based application called DreamPad AI. And you take a photo of any interior or exterior and you upload it and you press a button and it can show you what that room could be without changing the dimensions or the structure. It doesn't put windows where they don't belong. And it really, you can just keep clicking the button to get different ideas or mood boards for any space. It is, I wish we had it when we were when we were trying to find our house, because it would have saved my husband a lot of heartache. But it's amazing, and it's
It
super,
really is
super
amazing.
cool. Yeah.
Oh my God. I'll
Yeah.
never, Ashley. Okay. So I'll never forget this day for the rest of my life. Julian calls me. We go meet at the coffee shop. Julian introduces me to DreamPad. I see it for the first time in my life, and OMG. For those listening, DreamPad AI. Go there. Have a blast. It's so incredible. You can literally, if you've got you're looking on Zillow or Reddit, you're going online looking at houses, you can literally upload the picture and ask the technology, what else could this look like? And it lets you, Julian goes, Scott, go in there. Tell it you want like granite counters. Tell it what color the granite should look like. Tell it whatever you want, and then hit that button and see what happens next. It visualized the entire thing. It is the most amazing tool that I've witnessed AI do with photographs. Why? Because I've seen something that I thought was cool before, and then I started looking at it. I'm like, well, that's not where the fireplace is. Well, that's stupid. And then it makes you want. And then I saw this. And then Ashley, I was so wowed. And you being an expert communicator, your husband an artist in life, digital technology, Hollywood. Many of us in life have seen your husband's work. But now, now we're gifted. We're gifted a tool. And I just had to mention it. There's so many new technologies that enter the world that try to fix an obstacle. And I'm so grateful you devoted time together and thought that was something great to focus on. I just had to highlight that because it's the coolest thing I've ever seen in career, with technology transforming space that allows us to visualize what it could become, even though it might not be what we have. And with all of the different solutions that live in the market, I think that's where you get opportunities. Right? Finding that house with the green wallpaper and you wanted yellow, or whatever the story is. It's the opposite of what you were looking at. But if it only could be this, now what is it worth?
And I think what's so important with something like DreamPad AI, I know for us and many other buyers out there, when we were looking for a house, we couldn't buy our dream house. We couldn't buy something that was like beautiful curbside appeal. We bought what was in our budget. And I know that's the situation for many. And so we didn't have DreamPad. So Julian took weeks putting together renders of what, in the traditional sense of what the rooms could look like. And that's what we used to redecorate or to remodel our home once we bought it. And so what's nice about this is that whether you're like the buyer, the seller, or whoever, you can take some photos of it and say, oh, okay, I hate the way this looks. Let me upload it and let me see if it's even an option for us to go look at it and use it as a mood board, right? So it really does help with, right now we're trying to redo the floors. I just uploaded it to see what different colors might work because he wanted one color and I'm like, I think that's going to look terrible. He was right. It's going to look nice. But I didn't think he was right at first, right? And I could just quickly upload it. It is. So I could just upload it now and say, okay, like what's it going to look like?
Well, you know what I didn't share with you? I had fun with it too, several times. Ashley, I love it because we've got the desert house. And we were playing with it because one of the houses on the street, I want to do something with the landscaping. And oh my God, the AI DreamPad AI also does exterior landscaping. Oh my God, this is the coolest thing ever. I'm in love. I just had to speak it out loud. I want the world to know this exists. It's called DreamPad AI, the coolest, awesome technology to help you realize spaces differently. Thank you, Ashley, you and Julian. Julian, you're out there in the world. Thank you for caring enough about finding a solution for folks like myself that don't have the same gift of visualization, and then allowing us to storyboard it and see it and have an unlimited amount of different renderings, and it just comes up so quickly. It's just the coolest thing I've seen that speaks to the real estate world that's not trying to sell us something. It's just allowing us to design life in our own visions. And that's what we're about in life, right? Believing bolder, because everything in life is possible, but I think it's more available when we believe we can. And it's harder to see that vision when we live in doubt. And Ashley, can I ask, because knowing, well, what we've been talking about, and knowing not every idea moves forward, and the little doubt monster jumps on the shoulder and tries to whisper in the ear about your great ideas. Ashley, how do you kick off little doubt monster on the shoulder? Because something tells me it visits all of us in life. And you found a way not to allow it to interrupt. Yes.
Yeah, I think that there's always so much going on. And if we fixate on what's not going well, you can spend quite some time going down a twisty, dark path. So, what I try to do is I try to do a reframe, right? As often as I can. I don't have to do this. I get to do this. Sure, there's all of this happening, but here is where there's opportunity. And so really focusing on what the positive is, because, that you really do get the rainbow after the rain. I think that the light at the end of the tunnel, that really is how you kick that monster off, right? That you're talking about. And you remember the times that monster was lying to you, and they were just trying to keep you where you are instead of letting you go and be who you're supposed to be. And it's, you just have to keep one foot forward and just remember that, all you can do is your best. And if you don't, somebody famous said it, I can't remember who it is. If we don't win, we learn. And that is the goal, right? It's not, it doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to keep trying. There's this famous Japanese proverb that I'm half Japanese, and it is what I live by. And it's nana karobi naoki. It means you fall down 7 times and you get up 8. And that is what it's all about. You have to just keep getting up.
It's impossible to fail. We fail when we didn't get up on the 8th time. You got to just get up again. Why? Because yes, you can. When? Well, the 8th time. Why? Because the way you were doing it just a moment ago just needed a little bit more adjustment. And we can't always get to the version of yes we want, because we probably are asking something out of life we didn't have a moment before. So whatever it is we're seeking probably is something fresh and new. Well, how are we supposed to be experts at something fresh and new I didn't have in the just before? So readjusting is probably better than the giving up. And I asked all on purpose, and I love your answers. Ashley, something tells me that not everybody on Capitol Hill or anywhere that you go to speak with is always standing by with, oh, I love that, Ashley. Yes, let's come on. I know for sure that stuff's not happening. So that's why I wanted to know, how do you get in front of diversity when everybody's trying to stop you? You don't allow it. I know you don't. That's why you're gifted you. We go around the side of that.
And I think this goes back to something I said at the beginning, right? When you're engaging with anybody, whether it's on the hill or off the hill, you have to do it with kindness. And you have to be a person of integrity. I say what I mean what I say. I've been in this business now for a number of years. My reputation precedes me, and people know that if I'm asking them to do something they or their boss doesn't want, it's, I have to do it sometimes, but that doesn't mean that I don't want to be helpful to them. And that doesn't mean, I'm trying to put them in a bad position. Just sometimes it shakes out that way, and, we'll find something else find another way to, make friends afterwards. But it really is leading with kindness and ensuring that you have integrity, because that's you. Julian says this, my husband, he's so smart, but you get trust by drops and you lose it by buckets. And that is true. And so if you've lost somebody's trust, it's really hard to come back from that.
What? That's powerful, wickedly powerful. May I ask as we close out, because I love this. Ashley, please, you just said something so powerful. So many things today wickedly powerful. I knew this was coming. I didn't know how and what, but I just knew it was going to be delicious. Ashley, allow me. What happens if somebody's, because trust is the person who's either trusting us or not trust, is that person. It's not us, right? It's the other person's perception. And we can't control perception. We can try to shape it by inviting them to see something, but that belongs to them. And trust is their issue. It's honestly. So please teach me, how do you overcome it? What if, in their opinion, because it's their opinion, not yours, their opinion, they no longer trust you as the source? How do you come back to being trusted source again?
Yeah, that is a long road, but you have to do it one step at a time, right? So it's doing what you say you're going to do. It's if somebody asks you to keep a confidence, you keep it. It is if you say you're going to give them something or share some information with them or some research, you do it. It's answering their calls. It's all of those tiny little decisions that you make every day, and it is, having a reason why you broke their trust in the first place. Because maybe you had a really good reason. Maybe it was out of your control. And I do think not making excuses, but sometimes explaining your position and why you had to come to a certain place does help move the needle when you find yourself in a situation where you've lost trust.
You see, I love that. And Ashley, please, when that happens and you are the person that cares to retain that trust or retain that level of relationship that was there just the moment before somebody thought something different, because it's their thoughts again, not yours. You didn't create them, they did. They responded, you didn't. And so I say that on purpose. So how long does it take? Is there a way to rapidly come back, Ashley? Is there a secret tip? Do you go and
Yeah.
do a special favor for somebody? Do you go back? Do you wait a day? Do you address it now? Do you walk away from the moment?
Yeah.
What's the best way? Because you're literally at an expert level at getting ideas across, even in front of
Yeah.
confrontation.
I know going into almost any meeting, how my request is going to be received because I've done my research, right? And so my whole goal is to be transparent and to also not get to the point where I have to rebuild trust because it takes so long. So I do actually try to prevent that. And so when I make the request, if it's something I know they don't want to do or they're not going to like, I make sure I build that into my request and I say, listen, I know you're not going to like this. And I have to ask it anyway because the powers that be have told me that I have to, and I'm really sorry, but this is the request. And what is your answer? And then, and I think the other thing is that you can't hold
Oh, that's
grudges,
nice.
right? So I don't hold, if somebody gives me a response that I don't want, I don't hold a grudge. It's like, okay, well, we can't work together on this. I appreciate that. I understand it. What can we work on instead? You don't want to do this? Got it. So let's find something else that you want to do. How can we find a way to collaborate?
So delicious. Oh my gosh. Oh wow. When we go, you never leave kind. We keep kind
Ever.
activated into ever.
Yes.
Everybody, you hear that? Smile, everyone. Smile. Smile instigates kindness. Speak through the smile. Bring it through your heart space and speak through there. Your ideas have a better chance of landing. Ashley, I love what you said. Don't allow the things they're not going to like be the surprise in the conversation. Instead, forefront it and bring it to the front. And this is the pieces I have a feeling you're not going to like as much as the things we've been, but we got to visit anyway. What do you think? You like this too? We could. I love that. Ashley, you're amazing. Can I ask, please? I love to ask this question because I think all of us is going to be a different answer. And you're an incredible woman of self-belief. And I say that, and I was so anxious to, hoping that you would come and visit with all of us because you have this incredible strength of getting on the other side of somebody's no, and you're constantly being asked to get in front of those moments. You in a career, you've been asked to do that. Um, Going back to your youth, your younger self, what would you tell yourself, your 10-year-old self right now, just entering into what's about to be ahead? What does your 10-year
Yeah.
old self need to know?
I think that my 10-year-old self needs to know that education is the best ladder out of poverty. I come from a super, super humble means, and that is how I changed my whole trajectory. I was the first person in my family not even to go to college, but to graduate from high school. And
Wow.
so, and then I went to college and then I went to grad school and I've built this amazing career. But I think, I would tell my 10-year-old self, you know, this is the path. Like, the path, stay the path. It's not going to be easy. There are going to be naysayers where you expect support, but just keep to the path and it's going to be good.
Wow. So you knew as a young youth that education was important. That was going to be your path, Ashley. You had a
Yeah.
vision early.
Well, I wouldn't even, I don't
Wow.
even think it was a vision. I had a Japanese grandmother that said to me, get as much education as you can. It's the one thing nobody can ever take from you. And so I did.
Oh, that's powerful. I love her.
Me too.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, you know
Mhm.
what? It's the beautiful people that we meet in life that make life so beautiful. Ashley, I'm so glad that life made sure we found each other on the path. You're an absolutely beautiful person inside, outside. You bring people's ideas to life. You create a space to discuss things that can sometimes be incredibly uncomfortable. And you find a way to invite comfort inside of those moments. And then you came and shared today with a lot of us some great ideas of how to communicate smarter, stronger, to be heard, how to move an idea that's not been like somebody else has heard about before, but sure should. And how do we win in life? And while we're doing it, can we do something also that has nothing to do with it at all? And the answer is yes. You both sure have, and you continue to unlock beautiful in life. I love it. You're proof positive that believing bolder is a great life to live. Thank you, Ashley, for joining us today.
Thank you again for having me. It's been a pleasure.
And everybody, don't forget DreamPad AI. Go have fun. Go redecorate this weekend. Go get inspired. Anyway, I can't wait to visit with you on next week's podcast with our next guest. And well, today's been incredible. And we thank you so much for tuning in. And well, if you loved and enjoyed as much as Ashley and I sure have, we'd love it if you'd leave us a 5-star review. The podcast promote us further when we know people are hearing us. And well, we'd in fact love it if you shared us here at believebolder.com. And we'll see you next week. Thanks so much for tuning in.